Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Well, this Saturday evening, July 17th, Sunday, July 18th, many Jews will be observing Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the Hebrew month of Av. History and tradition and legend inseparably intertwined to tell us why the 9th of Av is a time for fasting, for weeping, for reading the biblical Book of Lamentations, of immersing ourselves in haunting keynote or dirges, and of mourning 3,500 years of horrific losses, expressing a pain that never seems to end. History and legend and tradition. On the 9th of Av, the 12 spies returned to the Israelite camp, bringing with them their message of fear and of doom. On the 9th of Av, Solomon's temple was destroyed by the Babylonians around 586 BCE. On the 9th of Av, Herod the Great's temple, the second temple, was destroyed by the Romans in 70 CE. On the 9th of Av, all Jews were expelled from England in 1290. On the 9th of Av, Ferdinand and Isabella expelled all Jews from Spain, 1492. On the 9th of Av, the Nazi plan to exterminate the Jews through the so-called final solution was approved, 9th of Av, 1941. Menachem Begin actually tried to have the annual memorial observance of the Holocaust added to Tisha B'Av, but his proposal was rejected by the Knesset in favor of selecting a date connected to the Warsaw Ghetto uprising. All of this and even more become part of the story defining the 9th of Av. This week, just this week, the Church of England revealed that it is planning a formal act of repentance next year on what will be the 800th anniversary of the expulsion of Jews from England. I am actually not very shocked that the response by many British Jews to this announcement was, well, better late than never. Yes, indeed. Well, better late than never. Whether or not you fast, whether or not you choose to personally experience the deeply moving chant of the Book of Lamentations, Echa, you might consider just carving out a brief period of time, Saturday evening, on Sunday, to ponder the mysteries of Tisha B'Av. Even if you choose just to dedicate several quiet moments to reading the Wikipedia article about the 9th day of Av, it can be a rewarding experience for you and for your families. Our Sedra is DEVARIM, Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 1 and following. This Shabbat, which heralds the arrival of Tisha B'Av, Saturday evening, is called Shabbat Chazon. The Shabbat, when we read in the Haftarah, Isaiah's damning castigation of the people's faithless behavior. Now, taking all of its parts together, this Shabbat as a collective is the beginning of conclusions. The Israelites are in the 40th and final year of their desert wandering. Moses will be experiencing the very last day of his life. Our history to that date is reviewed. Preparations for the crossing of the Jordan River are completed. The first uttering of the words of the Shema and the V'ahavta take place in Deuteronomy. There is a final sermon. Maybe all of Deuteronomy is that final sermon delivered by Moses. In Deuteronomy, words based upon Tzadi Dalet Kuf, Tzedek, Tzaddik, righteousness, words based upon that Hebrew root will occur 18 times in the book of Deuteronomy. Words based upon Shin Pei Tet, Shofet, Mishpat, justice, will occur 48 times. Tzedek, Mishpat, the message of Deuteronomy. Moses has one last chance to mold the character of our people after 40 years. Scheiheld notes that while celebrating God's love for the Israelites, the concern of God for all peoples everywhere is emphasized in Deuteronomy. Sure, there is a privilege in being a select people. Quote, what great nation has God so near at hand, and what great nation has laws and rules as perfect as the Torah? That's great. But along with that, there are great restraints. Yes, a specific land is promised to us, but the granting of that land by God to us is severely conditioned by the requirements for us to be faithful to the values, the teachings, the laws of Torah. The book of Leviticus had already warned us that the land will vomit the people out if we fail to be followers of tzedek and mishpat. And by the way, Deuteronomy agrees with Leviticus on this point to a very huge extent. The word Deuteronomy comes from the Greek deuteronomos, a repetition of the law. We could say Mishnah, Torah in Hebrew say the same thing, because many of the laws are summarized or elaborated upon here in the book of Deuteronomy. But Deuteronomy also carries with it the name of the second word of this week's Sedra, DEVARIM, Ele HaDevarim. These are the words that Moses addressed to Israel across the Jordan River. Now the rabbis, I don't miss a trick, did not fail to notice that this Sedra immediately precedes Tisha B'Av. And the Sedra immediately preceding Tisha B'Av is obsessed with the word DEVARIM, words, words. The rabbis wove abundant midrashim proclaiming that the root cause of the destruction of the second temple was sinat chinam, causeless hatred, expressed in language both foul and corrupting. Causeless hatred that caused Jewish blood to be shed by Jews before the Romans took the city. As part of my annual immersion in the challenging and deeply satisfying rabbinic study program hosted by the Hartman Institute in Jerusalem this week, I had the immense first-time privilege of studying with Dr. Christine Hayes, professor of religious studies in classical Judaica at Yale. Good pedigree. With Tisha B'Av near at hand, Dr. Hayes chose to teach us about the use of words, DEVARIM, in both creating and resolving interpersonal conflicts. It fit. The area of the human brain known as the amygdala controls human emotions such as fear and aggression. We kind of knew that. The prefrontal cortex of the brain moderates social behavior and handles complex cognitive behavior. Both areas, amygdala, prefrontal cortex, both areas make use of words either to attack or to initiate thoughtful responses. If we privilege the amygdala's urging, there can be no constructive engagement with those with whom we disagree. An amygdala-driven response shames that other. An amygdala-driven response inevitably invites retaliation, resentment, escalation. The amygdala, it knows how to handle everybody out there. But if we privilege the prefrontal cortex, we will never lose sight of our enemy's humanity, their susceptibility to pain, to personal injury. The truth that they are, each of them, even those with whom we are in conflict, B'Tselem, they are in the ethical image of God. A prefrontal cortex initiative understands that the purpose of an interaction with those with whom we disagree is justice. The purpose of that interaction is justice. The tool for that interaction is truth. Justice and truth in dealing with those with whom we are in conflict. A prefrontal cortex response demands more of us as we live out the axiom, do not do to others that which we would not want them to do to us. Ele HaDevarim, these are the words. Sinat Chinam, causeless hatred. Tisha B'Av, words can destroy. Words can bridge vast gaps and bring healing. So what's it going to be this Tisha B'Av? Amygdala? Prefrontal cortex? Our Sedra really makes it clear. The choice is ours. Ele HaDevarim. These are the words. Shabbat Shalom. Have a meaningful observance of Tisha B'Av in your own style. See you next week. Shabbat Shalom.